I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. She looked me dead in the eyes in a crowded restaurant and asked me to prove why she should stay with me instead of another man. And in that exact moment, I realized something terrifyingly peaceful. I had already lost her long before she opened her mouth. And walking away wasn't weakness. It was freedom. If you've ever felt invisible in a relationship, if you've ever been treated like a placeholder instead of a partner, or if you've ever wondered what self-respect really looks like when everything is on the line, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me. Because this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about what happens when someone finally stops negotiating their worth. I work from home as a data analyst. At least, that's the version I tell people who don't need to know more. No flashitaites, no taler suites, no dramatic entrances. Just quiet work, consistent income, and days structured exactly how I like them. My partner Rachel lived in a completely different universe. We'd been together 5 years. She was an image consultant for wealthy clients, executives, heirs, socialites. People who paid obscene amounts of money to be told how to look powerful. For a long time, she loved our life. She used to tell me I grounded her, that coming home to someone who didn't perform was refreshing. But about a year ago, something shifted. Conversations shortened. Eye contact disappeared. When I spoke, her attention drifted, like my words were background noise in a room that had outgrown me. I noticed it in small ways first. She stopped asking about my day, started checking her phone mid-sentence, would smile at messages that had nothing to do with me. I didn't confront her, not because I didn't notice, but because I kept telling myself love was patient. Then came Friday night. She insisted we go to Lorenzo's, an upscale Italian place downtown. Not our usual quiet spot. This was where her clients liked to be seen. I knew that walking in, and I went anyway, not to impress anyone. I went because I needed clarity. We'd barely touched the appetizers when he walked in. Ethan, her ex, 6 years before me. A fashion photographer with just enough recognition to believe he mattered more than everyone else in the room. The moment Rachel saw him, her posture changed. Her face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in months. Not subtle, not accidental. He walked over like he belonged there, kissed her cheek, barely acknowledged me. When she introduced us, his handshake was loose, dismissive, like he'd already decided who won. They talked. Trips, gallery openings, mutual friends. I stayed quiet, focused on my plate, listening more than eating. Then Rachel did something I still replay in my head. In a room full of people, with a server hovering nearby, she turned to me and said, "Ethan wants me back in his world." Paused. He's offering excitement, passion, a bigger life. Then she looked at me. "You offer comfort, stability. That's all." The room felt smaller. Ethan leaned against the table, arms crossed, already confident. Then she said it. "Give me one good reason to stay with you instead of him." Time slowed. I felt the heat in my chest, the weight in my hands, the sudden clarity cutting through months of doubt. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I looked at her, really looked at her, and asked calmly, "Can you give me one good reason to stay with you?" She opened her mouth, closed it. Nothing came out. That silence said everything. I reached for my wallet, counted exact cash for my half of the meal and the tip, set it on the table, stood up, buttoned my jacket, and walked out. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. My phone started buzzing before I reached my car. Calls, messages. I silenced it and drove home. That was the last quiet moment I'd have for a while. But it was also the moment I stopped pretending I didn't know my worth. By the time I pulled into the driveway, my screen looked like a warning light. Missed calls stacked on missed calls. I sat there for a moment, hands on the wheel, not angry, not relieved, just still. Inside the house, everything was exactly where I'd left it. The hum of the fridge, the lamp casting a soft glow. This place had always been my refuge. That night, it felt reclaimed. I didn't check the messages. I already knew the pattern. Regret, then irritation, then accusation. How dare you walk out? Do you know who was watching? Do you care about my reputation? By Sunday morning, the tone shifted. Confused, soft, needy. I didn't mean it. He caught me off guard. Nothing sounded the way it came out. I didn't reply. Some conversations don't fix anything. They just reset the cycle. Monday morning, I logged into work. The real work. For years, Rachel assumed my job was simple, predictable. She once joked I was comfortable but unremarkable. I smiled back then. That smile returned now for very different reasons. Because I'm not just a data analyst. I own a private analytics and digital strategy firm. Quiet, discreet, effective, no flashy branding, no ego. And for 3 years, I had quietly supported her career. Referrals, visibility, positioning, never attaching my name. I wanted to believe she valued me, not what I could provide. So I stayed invisible. That week, I didn't touch anything. I just stopped compensating, and gravity did the rest. Client postponed. Calls went unanswered. Momentum slowed. Not sabotage. Absence. By Friday, she was spiraling. Accusations turned to panic. Are you doing this to me? This is petty. Petty is yelling. Petty is revenge. What was happening was truth. When borrowed, scaffolding disappears. You learn very quickly what was actually yours. Tuesday afternoon, there was a knock at my door. Rachel stood outside. No diseñar labios. Hair pulled back. Smaller somehow. She asked for 10 minutes. I gave her 10. She apologized. Quietly. For the restaurant. For how she spoke. For treating me like I was replaceable. I accept your apology, I said. That doesn't change anything. She asked for help. I told her the truth. I'm not hurting you. I'm just not rescuing you anymore. Then I told her everything. The systems. The support. The years. Her face drained of color. I didn't accuse. I didn't raise my voice. I simply explained. When I finished, I opened the door. Her time was up. The house didn't feel empty after she left. It felt honest. Weeks passed. Life got quieter, clearer. I stopped carrying weight that wasn't mine. I didn't destroy her life. I stopped supporting it. There's a difference. When someone asks you to compete for their loyalty, you've already lost something far more important than the argument. And walking away, that's not weakness. That's self-respect. If this story hit close to home, if you've ever been asked to prove your worth to someone who should already know it, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments. Who do you think was right in this husband-wife debate? I'll see you in the next story.